Before you dismiss what you are feeling as stress, bad timing, or simple exhaustion, pay close attention, because there is a deeper story unfolding beneath the surface. If the past several days have felt unusually difficult, if every step forward seemed to require twice the effort it normally would, if opportunities appeared delayed, and your energy felt strangely drained despite doing everything right, there is a reason for that. What is happening today is far bigger than an ordinary shift in mood or circumstance. A rare sequence of cosmic events is reaching a turning point, and for some people, it may become the moment they later recognize as the beginning of a completely different chapter in their lives. The effects touch every area that determines how secure and fulfilled you feel: your finances, your closest relationships, and the value you place on yourself. Most people will move through this day unaware that anything unusual is happening. They will continue with their routines, distracted by responsibilities and noise. But those who have been paying attention to the signals around them may notice that reality itself begins responding differently. On Thursday, June 11th, the Moon enters Taurus, a placement long associated with stability, grounding, persistence, and emotional strength. In astrology, the Moon feels especially comfortable in Taurus, allowing its qualities to express themselves with remarkable steadiness. Yet that movement alone is not the full story. The real story began earlier, hidden beneath the emotional turbulence many experienced throughout the week. Something important was already unfolding behind the scenes, quietly gathering momentum, while most people focused only on the challenges directly in front of them. What arrives this morning is not the start of the process. It is the visible manifestation of something that was already set in motion. Think back to how you have been feeling. Perhaps you have been waking up tired even after getting enough sleep. Maybe your mind has been carrying a strange heaviness that seems difficult to explain. Some people have described it as moving through thick fog. Others have felt pressure, anxiety, impatience, or emotional weight that seem disconnected from anything happening in their immediate environment. If that sounds familiar, stay with me, because there is a specific astrological reason for those sensations, and understanding it changes everything about how you interpret the last several days. What felt like resistance was actually preparation. What felt like delay was creating space. What felt like pressure was building momentum. The universe was not working against you. It was arranging conditions for something much larger than you could see at the time. To understand why today matters so much, we need to revisit Monday and Tuesday, June 9th and June 10th. Those 2 days carried some of the most intense astrological influences we have seen in months. Many people experienced frustration that seemed disproportionate to what was actually happening around them. Plans stalled. Motivation fluctuated. Emotions surfaced unexpectedly. Even individuals who normally remain calm found themselves feeling restless, irritated, or discouraged. If you experienced any of that, it does not mean you were off track. In fact, it may mean you were moving exactly in alignment with the energies at work. On Monday, the Moon entered Aries. Aries is not patient. Aries does not enjoy waiting. This is a lunar placement that demands movement, action, and immediate results. It amplifies urgency and fuels the desire to push forward. When progress appears slow under this influence, the frustration can become overwhelming. Many people felt a powerful internal pressure, as though something inside them was demanding change immediately. There was a sense that remaining where they were was no longer acceptable. Yet alongside that impatience came another force. During the same period, the Sun formed an opposition to Black Moon Lilith. This is not a gentle energy. Lilith represents the hidden parts of ourselves, the wounds we carry from rejection, abandonment, shame, and experiences that convinced us we were somehow not enough. When the Sun opposes Lilith, those buried memories and emotions often rise into conscious awareness. Old insecurities reappear. Long-forgotten disappointments suddenly feel relevant again. Patterns connected to self-worth become impossible to ignore. But this emergence is not punishment. It is exposure for the purpose of healing. The shadows surfaced because they could no longer remain hidden if the next phase of growth was going to begin. Then Tuesday arrived, bringing Mercury into a square with Saturn. For many people, this felt like running directly into an invisible wall. Mercury governs thought processes, communication, planning, and mental activity. Saturn governs restriction, responsibility, delay, and hard lessons. When these two form a square, the result often feels like mental exhaustion and blocked progress. Conversations become difficult, plans seem ineffective, confidence weakens. You may feel unheard, misunderstood, or unable to gain traction despite your efforts. It is one of astrology's classic signatures of limitation. Under this influence, many people questioned whether their goals were realistic. Some wondered if their manifestations were failing. Others found themselves sitting alone, wondering whether continuing the journey was worth the emotional investment. Yet what makes this moment so important is that the deepest feelings of surrender often arrive immediately before a breakthrough becomes possible. While attention was focused on the tension of the Aries moon, the exposure created by Lilith, and the obstacles introduced by Mercury square Saturn, another event was quietly unfolding beyond the spotlight. It happened without fanfare. It happened while most people were distracted by their struggles, and it may prove to be one of the most significant astrological blessings of the decade. On Monday, June 9th, Venus and Jupiter formed an exact conjunction at 25 degrees Cancer. While many were busy navigating emotional intensity and uncertainty, the two most beneficial planets in astrology came together in perfect alignment. Venus governs attraction, relationships, beauty, prosperity, pleasure, and the ability to receive. Jupiter governs expansion, opportunity, abundance, blessings, growth, and what many astrologers describe as miracles. When these two planets unite at the same degree, the symbolism is extraordinary. It is widely recognized as one of the most favorable combinations astrology can produce. Entire careers have been spent studying alignments like this because of their potential impact. Yet this conjunction carries an additional layer of significance. It occurred in Cancer, the sign where Jupiter is exalted. In astrology, exaltation describes a condition in which a planet expresses its highest and most effective qualities. Jupiter in Cancer is often considered one of the strongest positions available to the planet of abundance. Its capacity to nurture growth, deliver opportunities, and expand blessings operates at exceptional strength. Jupiter only returns to Cancer once every 12 years. That fact alone makes this alignment remarkably rare. This is not ordinary good fortune. It is the activation of a cycle capable of influencing foundations that extend far beyond temporary circumstances. Venus in Cancer does not seek superficial rewards. It focuses on emotional security, meaningful connection, family, belonging, comfort, and lasting support. When Venus joins Jupiter in this sign, the abundance being generated is not fleeting. It is designed to strengthen the roots of your life. It supports the structures that make you feel safe, valued, connected, and sustained. The blessings associated with this alignment are not merely external. They become woven into your sense of stability. They reshape the ground beneath your feet. They create changes that are felt not only in your environment, but deep within your emotional and spiritual foundation. And as the Taurus Moon now begins bringing these energies into physical form, the story is only beginning. Yet there is one essential detail hidden inside this entire sequence that many people never fully understand, and missing it changes the meaning of everything. The extraordinary blessing activated earlier this week was never meant to remain in the realm of possibility alone. Cancer, the sign hosting that powerful Venus and Jupiter conjunction, belongs to the element of water. Water is emotional, intuitive, nurturing, and deeply receptive, but it is also constantly moving. It adapts to whatever surrounds it, It flows around obstacles. It carries potential, but potential alone is not enough to create visible results. Without structure, water cannot maintain shape. Without a vessel, even the purest source eventually disperses. This is why so many people experience beautiful energetic openings but never fully translate them into reality. The opportunity exists, the blessing exists, the abundance exists, yet nothing tangible seems to arrive because there is no stable framework capable of holding what has been generated. This is where today's shift becomes so important. What happens on Thursday, June 11th, provides exactly what the earlier alignment required. The moon enters Taurus, and suddenly the energy changes direction. This is not merely another lunar transition among many. In astrology, the moon is exalted in Taurus, which means the lunar energy functions with exceptional strength, balance, and reliability. The moon governs your emotional world, your instincts, your receptivity, your capacity to receive support, opportunities, and nourishment. When placed in Taurus, those qualities become grounded and remarkably effective. Taurus belongs to the element of earth. Unlike water, earth holds form. Earth preserves. Earth builds. Earth creates foundations capable of supporting long-term growth. Taurus is concerned with what can be touched, owned, protected, and sustained. It speaks the language of tangible value, financial security, physical comfort, and lasting stability. As the moon enters this sign, an important bridge forms between what has been developing energetically and what can begin appearing in the physical world. Imagine for a moment that the Venus and Jupiter conjunction earlier this week represented an extraordinary gift being prepared on your behalf. The potential was immense, almost beyond calculation, but until now, much of that energy existed beneath the surface, waiting for a structure capable of receiving it. The Taurus moon acts as that structure. It provides the grounding point. It creates the container. It transforms possibility into something capable of taking root. What was once floating within emotional and spiritual dimensions suddenly finds a pathway into practical reality. This is why the experiences of the last several days make more sense when viewed from a larger perspective. Many people interpreted the heaviness, frustration, and emotional intensity as signs that something was wrong. In truth, those experiences may have been evidence that something significant was being prepared. Human beings often focus on the discomfort of transformation while missing its purpose. We notice the pressure, but not the expansion it creates. We notice the uncertainty, but not the capacity it is building inside us. Throughout the early part of the week, multiple forces were working simultaneously. Saturn was exposing weaknesses in the foundation. It was revealing where greater maturity, patience, and structure were needed. Black Moon Lilith was bringing unresolved wounds around worthiness into conscious awareness. It was forcing old narratives to surface so they could no longer quietly influence decisions from the shadows. The emotional turbulence was not random. It was clearing space. It was preparing the soil before new growth could begin. Now, with the moon entering Taurus, that preparation starts serving a visible purpose. But there is another lesson embedded within this transit that many people overlook. Taurus does not respond well to desperation. It is not impressed by frantic pursuit. It does not reward panic, force, or constant striving. Taurus operates through certainty. It attracts through stability. It responds to those who are rooted in their value rather than chasing validation from the outside world. This becomes especially meaningful because Taurus is naturally connected with themes of self-worth. At its deepest level, today's transit asks a simple but life-changing question. How much good are you truly willing to receive? Not how much you want, not how much you dream about, how much you genuinely believe belongs in your life. The answer to that question influences everything. Many people unknowingly limit themselves long before circumstances do. They undervalue their skills. They minimize their contributions. They accept less than they deserve because somewhere deep within they doubt their own worth. Over time, those beliefs become invisible ceilings. Today's energy shines a light directly on those ceilings. It invites you to recognize where you have been settling, where you have been shrinking yourself, and where you have been negotiating against your own value. The opportunity available under this Taurus moon is not only financial or material. It is psychological. It is emotional. It is the chance to establish a new relationship with your own worthiness. Because abundance can only remain where it is welcomed. If a part of you still believes you are undeserving, every blessing becomes difficult to hold. This brings us back to the exhaustion many people have been experiencing. Earlier I mentioned that your body often understands change before your conscious mind catches up. This is exactly what has been happening. Long before you learned about the Venus and Jupiter conjunction. Long before you considered the significance of the Taurus moon. Long before you connected these astrological events together, your energetic system had already begun responding. It started releasing what could no longer accompany you forward. Old emotional residue surfaced. Limiting beliefs became more noticeable. Stagnant patterns demanded attention. The heaviness was not necessarily evidence of failure. In many cases, it was evidence of preparation. Think about renovating a home before a major move. The demolition stage rarely feels exciting. It creates noise, dust, disorder, and inconvenience. Rooms appear worse before they become better. Yet that temporary disruption serves an essential purpose. It makes room for something new. Earlier this week, the Mercury square Saturn transit represented a peak moment within that process. It created mental pressure. It introduced obstacles. It forced many people to confront doubt and frustration. But hidden within that challenge was a question. Would you continue moving forward even when evidence seemed limited? Would you remain committed even when progress felt invisible? Would you trust the process before receiving proof? Those who stayed engaged through the discomfort were participating in a deeper transformation than they realized. And if you are still here, still listening, still searching for meaning despite everything this week has asked of you, then there is a strong possibility that you already passed that test. The atmosphere begins changing now. The phase of clearing begins giving way to a phase of building. Under a Taurus moon, growth tends to establish roots rather than temporary appearances. Taurus is a fixed sign. It favors durability. It prefers foundations over quick wins. What begins developing under this influence is designed to endure. It seeks consistency. It seeks stability. It seeks lasting value. This is why the energy arriving now feels different from the emotional turbulence that preceded it. The focus shifts from surviving uncertainty to cultivating something real. So allow yourself to rest, truly rest. Let your mind and body integrate everything they have been carrying. Give the clearing process permission to finish. Because as Thursday unfolds, the energetic landscape begins entering entirely new territory. The pressure that dominated the beginning of the week starts losing its grip. The struggle that felt endless begins revealing its purpose. The season of testing gives way to the season of receiving. And while this Taurus moon extends its stabilizing influence across the entire collective, there are 3 zodiac signs positioned to experience these developments with extraordinary intensity. For them, this is not simply a moment of relief. It is the beginning of something much larger. What happens next is where this story becomes deeply personal, because although the Taurus moon is stabilizing energy for everyone, there are 3 signs standing at the center of this wave in a way that is difficult to overstate. If your sun, moon, or rising sign falls into one of these placements, pay attention. The opportunities emerging now are not small adjustments. they have the potential to alter the direction of years to come. For some, this is not merely a lucky week. It is the beginning of a completely different era. Taurus, this moment carries your name more clearly than almost any other sign in the zodiac. If anyone has been preparing for this breakthrough through endurance alone, it is you. And to understand why, you have to look back over the last 7 years. Uranus has been traveling through your sign, and Uranus is not interested in preserving comfort. It is the planet of disruption, sudden change, awakening, and radical reinvention. Its purpose is to shake loose anything that has become stagnant, regardless of how attached you may have been to it. Over the course of 7 years, you have likely watched entire chapters of your life dissolve and rebuild themselves. Think about the version of yourself that existed 7 years ago. Think about the expectations you carried. Think about the relationships you believed would last forever, the goals you were pursuing, the picture you had created of your future. Much of it has transformed beyond recognition. Some of it disappeared entirely. There were moments when stability seemed within reach, only for circumstances to change again. Just when you thought you had established solid ground beneath your feet, life demanded another adjustment. Yet through every unexpected turn, every reinvention, every challenge to your sense of certainty, you continued moving forward. Not loudly, not dramatically, but with the persistence that Taurus is known for. Now the atmosphere changes. On Thursday, June 11th, the exalted moon enters your sign and illuminates your first house, the area connected to identity, self-expression, appearance, and personal destiny. This creates a noticeable shift in how others perceive you and how you perceive yourself. There is a new presence developing around you. People may find themselves paying closer attention without fully understanding why. Your energy becomes more visible. Your confidence becomes more tangible. The quiet strength you have cultivated through years of challenge begins radiating outward. At the same time, Mars remains in Taurus, adding determination, stamina, and practical momentum. You are not only attracting attention, you are positioned to act on the opportunities that appear. Then there is the Venus and Jupiter conjunction, which activated your third house of communication, agreements, contracts, conversations, and local connections. This combination suggests that words become valuable, discussions become valuable, introductions become valuable. An opportunity may emerge through a conversation. A financial improvement may begin through a contract. Someone may recognize your skills and offer compensation that finally reflects their true worth. This is why your task now is not to shrink. It is not to negotiate against yourself. It is not to assume that less is safer. Taurus, the lesson of this moment is to acknowledge your value without apology. Speak clearly about what you bring to the table. Stop treating your gifts as if they are ordinary. The universe is responding to the foundation you spent years building, and the rewards arriving now are directly connected to the patience and resilience that carried you through every previous setback. What you refused to settle for is beginning to return value. What you continued building despite uncertainty is beginning to produce results. But you must participate by believing that what arrives is deserved. Cancer. Your story this week feels almost magical in comparison. In many ways, you have become the focal point of one of the most beautiful alignments available in modern astrology. The Venus and Jupiter conjunction that occurred on June 9th did not simply touch your sign. It unfolded directly within your first house, the house that governs selfhood, personal identity, physical presence, and the path you are creating for your future. Consider what that means. Venus, associated with attraction, harmony, beauty, support, and prosperity, joined forces with Jupiter, the planet of expansion, blessings, growth, and opportunity. The two most beneficial planets in astrology met in the area of your chart most connected to you. This creates an extraordinary amplification of visibility and magnetism. Whether you recognize it or not, people are noticing something different. There is a quality surrounding you right now that naturally attracts support. Others may feel drawn toward your ideas, your presence, your leadership, or your vision. Opportunities appear because your energy is expanding. Connections form because your influence is increasing. Jupiter moving through your first house already represents one of the most significant growth cycles available during a 12-year period. Adding Venus to that equation elevates the potential dramatically. It is as if a spotlight has been directed toward your life, emphasizing your strengths and encouraging others to recognize them as well. Then today's Taurus Moon enters your 11th house, the house associated with communities, networks, collective support, long-term dreams, and unexpected gains. Suddenly, the pieces fit together. The conjunction increases your visibility. The Taurus Moon introduces the people capable of helping that visibility become something tangible. Investors, collaborators, audiences, supporters, mentors, and influential connections may begin appearing in ways that feel surprisingly natural. Cancer. Many of you are accustomed to giving more than you receive. You nurture, you support, you care for everyone around you, often placing your own needs last. Yet this week presents a reversal of that pattern. The flow changes direction. Instead of constantly pouring energy outward, you become the recipient of encouragement, opportunity, and abundance. This is why your assignment is simple. Stop hiding. Stop questioning whether you belong in the room. Stop assuming everyone else is more qualified. Allow yourself to be seen. Accept invitations. Share your ideas. Introduce your work to a larger audience. Take the opportunity that feels slightly intimidating. The energy surrounding you right now is not asking you to stay small. It is asking you to step into the version of yourself that these powerful planetary alignments have been preparing you to become. Scorpio, your experience may feel different because your first instinct is often caution. You have lived through enough transformations to know that not every opportunity arrives without conditions attached. You tend to examine situations carefully, searching for hidden motives, unseen complications, or details others overlook. That instinct has protected you many times. But this moment carries a different quality. The blessing arriving now is not built on instability. It is built on partnership. As the Taurus Moon enters your 7th house, attention shifts toward committed relationships, business alliances, collaborations, agreements, and the people who stand across from you as equals. This house governs the partnerships that help shape your future. It represents the individuals who bring strengths you cannot access alone. Because the moon is exalted in Taurus, the energy entering this area of your chart is exceptionally stable. It favors reliability over drama. It favors consistency over uncertainty. It favors trust over temporary excitement. What develops now has the potential to create emotional security, practical support, and long-term value. For a sign that often feels responsible for carrying everything independently, this can be a profound shift. The lesson emerging for you is that not every victory must be achieved alone. Not every burden belongs entirely on your shoulders. The right partnership can multiply results, accelerate progress, and provide stability that would take years to create independently. As this energy unfolds, you may begin recognizing that the support you have been searching for has been moving toward you all along. And what arrives now is not simply another opportunity. It may be the missing piece that finally allows everything else to come together. What makes this Scorpio story even more remarkable is that the opportunity arriving now carries a quality you may not be accustomed to trusting. Many Scorpios have spent years developing extraordinary self-reliance. Not because they wanted to, but because life repeatedly taught them that depending on others could lead to disappointment. Over time, survival became a skill. Independence became protection. Emotional distance became insurance against future pain. Yet the energy unfolding under today's Taurus Moon challenges that entire strategy. It introduces the possibility that not every connection arrives carrying instability behind it. Not every alliance contains hidden complications. Not every offer conceals an eventual cost. For a sign that instinctively searches beneath the surface, that possibility alone can feel unsettling. The moon's movement through your seventh house is emphasizing partnerships, agreements, committed relationships, and collaborative ventures. It is asking you to consider that strength does not always come from carrying everything alone. Sometimes strength appears through mutual support. Sometimes progress accelerates when responsibility is shared rather than shouldered entirely by one person. At the same time, the powerful Venus and Jupiter conjunction activated your ninth house, one of the most expansive and opportunity-rich areas of the chart. This house governs international connections, higher education, publishing, legal matters, spiritual wisdom, and experiences that broaden your understanding of what is possible. Because Jupiter naturally resonates with ninth house themes, its conjunction with Venus here becomes especially potent. The amplification is significant. Real-world manifestations could appear in many forms. Some Scorpios may receive opportunities connected to foreign countries or international partnerships. Others may find themselves moving through legal situations with outcomes more favorable than expected. For some, a chance emerges to share their expertise, story, or message with a dramatically larger audience. Others may encounter a mentor, collaborator, or influential figure whose background differs completely from their own, yet whose resources and perspective unlock doors that previously seemed inaccessible. And this is where I want your attention. Because if you are a Scorpio, there is a good chance that while hearing all of this, part of your mind is already searching for what could go wrong. You are examining the details, looking for the hidden clause, waiting for the moment when the promise becomes complicated. Yet this transit asks you to suspend that reflex, at least long enough to recognize what is actually happening. Not every blessing is a lesson disguised as a challenge. Not every reward arrives wrapped in hardship. Sometimes what appears is exactly what it seems. The energy surrounding you this week speaks less about testing and more about restoration. It resembles a return, a balancing of scales, a recognition of effort that often went unseen. Every private struggle, every reinvention, every difficult choice made without applause has been contributing to this moment. The abundance available now is closely tied to cooperation. It flows through partnerships, contracts, agreements, and shared vision. It arrives through saying yes, instead of automatically assuming you must do everything yourself. The sooner you allow support to enter your life, the more quickly the flow begins expanding. Yet regardless of whether you are Taurus, Cancer, Scorpio, or any other sign, the larger message remains the same. The Taurus Moon is creating a field of opportunity available to the entire zodiac. Some may experience it more dramatically, but everyone has access to its stabilizing influence. The question is how consciously you choose to work with it. There are several simple yet powerful ways to align yourself with this energy before the transit fully settles in. The first involves reconnecting with the physical world. Taurus is Earth. It communicates through the senses. It responds to tangible experience. Modern life often keeps people trapped in their minds, disconnected from their bodies, constantly consuming information while rarely feeling present. This transit asks for the opposite. Step outside. Place your feet on the ground. Hold something substantial in your hands. Enjoy a nourishing meal without distraction. Drink something warm and comforting. Slow down enough to experience the moment directly. Your body is not separate from your spiritual experience. It is the instrument through which energy becomes reality. The more grounded you feel, the easier it becomes to receive what is trying to enter your life. The second practice centers around self-worth. Taurus governs themes connected to value, resources, and the voice. There is extraordinary power in speaking your intentions aloud. Many people think about what they desire but never fully claim it. They whisper it internally while simultaneously doubting whether it is possible. Today's energy encourages something different. Give your desires a voice. Name the opportunity. Speak the goal. Acknowledge the value you bring. Let your words reflect the reality you are ready to create. Sound carries energy. Spoken intention often creates a stronger imprint than silent wishing. The third lesson may be the most challenging because it directly contradicts what modern culture teaches. Stop forcing. Stop chasing. Stop believing that constant struggle is the only path to success. Taurus energy operates through attraction rather than pursuit. It rewards certainty rather than desperation. When people become consumed by fear, they often push harder, convinced that more effort alone will solve everything. Yet there are moments when the most powerful action is allowing. Trusting. Remaining steady enough to recognize what is already moving toward you. The blessing you seek may not require more chasing. It may require enough stillness to recognize its arrival. There is also a practical reason to act with awareness now. Mercury is slowing its movement this month and preparing for its retrograde phase beginning on June 29th. Eventually, Mercury will revisit the exact degree where Venus and Jupiter recently joined forces. This suggests that some opportunities, agreements, conversations, or developments emerging now may undergo review, adjustment, or renegotiation during July. That does not mean they disappear. It simply means details may return for refinement. Therefore, if an opportunity arrives that feels aligned, pay attention. If something deserves commitment, consider acting while conditions remain supportive. Secure what can be secured. Build what can be built. Establish foundations while the Taurus Moon provides exceptional stability. Yet there is an even larger story unfolding behind all of this, one that extends beyond a weekly forecast and reaches into a much longer cycle of collective evolution. On June 19th, only 8 days after the Taurus Moon enters this powerful position, Chiron, known in astrology as the wounded healer, moves into Taurus for the first time in decades. This is a significant shift. Chiron's purpose is not comfort. It reveals wounds so they can eventually heal. In Taurus, those wounds become connected to money, security, self-worth, physical well-being, resources, and humanity's relationship with the Earth itself. Over the coming years, many people will confront deep questions about scarcity, value, survival, and deservingness. Long-standing beliefs will be challenged. Old fears surrounding security will surface. Areas of life that seemed stable may require re-evaluation. The process will be transformative, but it will not always feel easy. Seen through that lens, the timing of the Venus and Jupiter conjunction becomes even more meaningful. The abundance, support, and emotional stability arriving now appear to serve a larger purpose. It is as though the universe is strengthening foundations before deeper healing begins. Additional resources arrive before greater challenges emerge. Emotional reassurance appears before old wounds are fully examined. Stability is being established so future growth becomes possible. This is not random generosity. It is preparation. It is reinforcement. It is support designed to help you navigate what comes next with greater confidence and resilience. Which brings us back to where this journey began. If the past week felt heavy, if exhaustion seemed impossible to shake, if obstacles appeared everywhere you turned, understand that those experiences were not evidence of failure. They were part of a transition. The pressure was preparing you. The uncertainty was refining you. The delays were strengthening parts of you that would soon be needed. What felt like resistance was often construction happening beneath the surface. The final moments before transformation rarely feel comfortable. They often feel like doubt. They often feel like fatigue. They often feel like questioning whether continuing is worth it. Yet those moments frequently arrive just before a breakthrough becomes visible. As the moon enters Taurus and this new phase begins unfolding, reality starts catching up to energetic shifts that have already occurred. The opportunities have already been initiated. The blessings have already been set in motion. What remains is your willingness to receive them, not chase them, not force them, not justify them. Simply receive them. Trust that your efforts mattered. Trust that your persistence carried meaning. Trust that the universe remembers every lesson learned and every challenge overcome. Because sometimes the greatest act of faith is not believing that abundance exists. It is believing that you are allowed to have it. If this message resonated with you, thank you for spending this time here. Share your thoughts and experiences below. I would love to hear how these energies are showing up in your life. And if you enjoy exploring astrology, spiritual growth, and the deeper patterns shaping our collective journey, consider subscribing and joining us for future insights. Until next time, take care of yourself, stay grounded, and remain open to the possibilities that are already moving toward you.